What is up, my ducks and drakes? Welcome to the Credit Lake. Today we're reading chapters 13 and 14 of Broken Wings by GraceFulRavenFeathers on fanfiction.net. You could go in the description to find the book and the author so you could support them because it's really cool. Update next week. Even though these are the last two chapters, I'm not starting a new book. I'm actually redoing the first couple chapters of this book because a lot of people have had problems with the audio on that video and I just want to re-record so I can make sure everyone can enjoy it. So with that, chapter 13, Patton's point of view. Patton opened his eyes, expecting to be still trapped, but instead stared in awe at Virgil. He was shaking, barely able to stand. Yet, he was protecting Patton. His wings were outstretched, and Patton realized that they had broken him out of the hallucination. They were somehow shielding him from Deciet's control. Oh, very well, little hero. A sinister voice echoed through the room. Patton felt a dread pool in his stomach. He looked on in horror as Deciet swatted Virgil to the side like a rag doll. The younger side hit the wall with a sickening thud. Patton's heart lurched. Then his eyes hardened. He stood, aiming peacock knives while Deciet was slightly distracted. They embedded themselves in the snake's shoulder. With the pain-streaked, Deciet lunged for Patton, but a jet-black arrow suddenly jutted the three blades. Patton spun around to see Logan, already prepping another arrow. The logical trait looked about ready to murder someone, yet also somehow maintained his usual state of calm and collectedness. If the situation wasn't so serious, Patton would have laughed in pure joy. Roman and Remy were also standing now. They looked a little out of it, but they both livid and ready to fight. I need to check on Virg, Patton called to the three pissed off and heavily armed sides. Cover me! They all nodded and Morality dashed towards Virgil. Deciet raised his whip to strike at Patton, but Roman countered with his sword. Morality skidded to a halt next to Virgil and bit back a sob. Up close, anxiety's wounds were even worse. His ribs jutted out, and every inch of his bare skin was either bleeding bruised or scabbed over. Black, silver, purple feathers were scattered everywhere, drifting to the ground in seemingly slow motion. But worst, his breathing was shallow and erratic. Virgil? Patton whispered. Behind them, a rocket launcher discharged towards Deciet's scaly face. Virgil, can you hear me? Virgil's eyes were blown wide as he convulsed. Virgil, where does it hurt? Patton realized this was probably not a helpful question as everything appeared injured. My back. Virgil managed to choke out. Patton tried to move the young aside, but even a gentle touch elicited a scream of pain. Behind them, Roman froze for a millisecond, allowing Deciet an opening to knock him down. Virg, it's okay, we're gonna get you out of here. Dad. Virgil cut him off, blood dripping between his teeth. I'm dying. My spine is shattered. No, you're gonna be okay. Dad, listen. This has happened before. I'll wake up again. Patton sobbed. He didn't know what to do. He has finally failed to protect Virgil over and over and over again. And now he couldn't even save him from death. What should I do? Patton asked tearfully. Will you sing to me? Maybe it will keep the nightmares away. Nodding, Patton thought of what he could sing. Patton ran his shaking hands through Virgil's hair, attempting to calm the dying side, continuing to sing. After a while, Virgil laid on the floor, pale as a sheet. He was completely motionless, no longer breathing. Patton just wanted to curl up and sob next to his son, but he still had a job to do. A blue aura seemed to surround morality. As he calmly walked into battle, tears still tracked his cheeks, but a grim determination shone in his features. Roman, Logan, and Remy saw him coming and scrambled out of the way. They seemed to sense that this was not going to be pretty, and Patton would not be needing their help. "Get Virgil," Patton told them without taking his eyes off Deciet. "We need to get him to safety." Looking a little worse for wear, the snake squared off against Patton, whip versus knives. He didn't stand a chance. Two knives flashed through the air before Patton could even register that he'd thrown them. One sliced through the whip, severing the body from the handle. The other punctured Deciet in the stomach. It wasn't a fatal wound, but it was enough to incapacitate the dark side. Behind Patton, Roman let out a strangled cry. Patton turned back to see him gingerly lift Virgil's body. Logan was frantically checking for a pulse, but tears sprang into his eyes as he found nothing. Remy walked over to Patton solemnly. "I'll take care of this trash. Virgil needs to get somewhere safe, so when he can revive more naturally. If I'm right, the last few times he revived have been more traumatic. Make him comfortable, and he'll be able to heal faster." Sleep approached Deciet. He pointed his weapon at the injured dark side and fired. Patton walked away, following Logan and Roman out of the room. He had to get Virgil to safety. Chapter 14. Virgil woke up to the sound of someone humming near him. He was flat on his back, on a comfortable surface. As he cracked his eyes open, he noticed how many blankets were piled on top of him. He was warm, comfortable, safe. Virgil racked his brain, trying to figure out how he got there and why it felt so familiar. He'd been captured by Deciet, his old friend, who tortured and killed him repeatedly. He tricked him like this before using visions to hurt his friends. Was this real? "Kiddo!" The voice near him had stopped humming. "You're awake." Virgil's eyes snapped all the way open as he realized that it was the same. "Patton?" he asked hesitantly. "I'm so glad you're awake. I was so worried." Patton wrapped up Virgil in a hug, but Virgil flinched away. He'd been crying, thinking back to all the horrors he had experienced. Patton ran fingers through Virgil's hair. "It's okay. You're safe now." "No, leave me alone. I don't want to do this again." Virgil thrashed away. He didn't want to relive this, ever. "Kiddo, what's wrong?" Patton looked scared, a bit sad. Virgil's breathing sped up, tears streaming down his face. He didn't want to. Not again. 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 Now his hands were in his hair, pulling. "Virgil, sweetie, you're okay. You're safe." Now Patton was crying too, but Virgil couldn't hear him anymore. "Logan? Roman?" The two sides in question burst in the room. Roman immediately sat next to Virgil and placed his hands on Virgil's temples. One of creativity's powers was that he could read surface thoughts if in contact with the concentration. That was the only side who could touch another without side effects, but only for short periods of time. "He thinks this is a marriage," Roman gasped. He turned to Logan. "Is there any way to convince him that this is real?" I'm not sure," Logan admitted, but adjusted his tie and sat next to Virgil. "Virgil, I need you to breathe with me. And for 4 counts, hold for 8. Or for 7. Can you match me?" It took a few minutes, but Virgil finally calmed down. He still looked terrified, but at least he wasn't having an attack. He looked around the circle warily. "Is this real?" Virgil asked quietly. "Yes, Virg," Roman responded, taking his hand. "We freed you from the snake." "Everyone is here?" "Affirmative. Well, Remy also helped us rescue you, but he decided to leave before you awoke." "Do you hate me?" Virgil whispered, a voice full of pain and sorrow. Everyone froze, shocked. Honey, Patton gasped. We love you so much. We're sorry it took us so long to find you, but no matter what, we love you. Even with my... Virgil cut himself off. He glanced back at his wings. Your wings? Patton finished hesitantly. Virgil took a shaky breath and nodded. His head ached from holding in tears. Roman grinned. Your wings are beautiful, majestic, glorious even. Indeed, Logan continued. They are quite fascinating. But I didn't tell you. And they're a freak of nature. You said... Virgil, calm down, kiddo. Patton brushed some tears from his own face. None of us hate your wings. And a freak of nature? We're imaginary personas made up by a guy who became famous through a now-dead app. But I'm different. A freak. I'm the only one like me, and it makes me a target. Falsehood. Virgil looked up in shock at the logical trait. Logan shrugged. You are no freak. Every one of us is different, both from each other and from Thomas. Patton and I have glasses, Roman can speak Spanish, and you have wings. And while Deciet may have captured you, I believe he was actually targeting us. Virgil flinched when the dark side was mentioned, and Patton stroked his hair gently. He isn't here, and I'll never let him hurt you again. Patton's voice was determined and strong. Virgil melted into his touch and the safety of his words. You must be exhausted, Roman said after a few moments. This was a trying time for everyone, and according to Remy, reviving is not very fun. You need to rest and heal for a few days. Creativity stood, but Virgil grabbed his hand. Can everyone stay here? Virgil pleaded. I don't want to be alone right now. Of course, kiddo, Patton exclaimed. Roman summoned more blankets, pillows, and comfy couches. Logan grabbed his book and curled on the armchair, guarding the door. Patton skipped to the kitchen and grabbed some snacks and came back with some popcorn, chips, water bottles, and cookies. Roman sprawled out on the couch, summoning a TV. Patton crawled under the covers near Virgil and separating himself with a few blankets. Virgil felt warm, safe. Before they finished the movie they were watching, Virgil felt himself drifting off, but he wasn't scared of waking up anymore. He was gonna be okay. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this, please check out the author, because yes, do it in the description below. But if you do want to leave a comment, that's okay too. In the description, there's also links to my second YouTube channel where I go live, my Etsy shop where you can buy cool beaded things, and social media such as Instagram, TikTok, things like that. I've been doing a lot of TikTok Santa hats cosplays if you're into that. There's also a link to my Discord. We get to go talk to other ducks and drakes. Thank you for listening, and much like Patton going to get the cookies, do your best.